رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما. أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها فكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Indeed, brothers and sisters, the praise belongs to Allah, who is owner of it and worthy of it. We praise Him, we ask for His help and His assistance, and we ask for His forgiveness. Indeed, we seek refuge in Allah from the evil within our own selves and from the evil consequences of our bad deeds. Whoever Allah guides, brothers and sisters, no one can mislead that individual. And whoever Allah leaves to be astray, then no one can guide them. I bear witness, I give testimony that there is no deity worthy of worship other than Allah. He is alone and without any partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is his final prophet and messenger. O you who have believed, be mindful, be aware, be conscious, have fear of Allah, and do not die unless you have surrendered your will to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. O mankind, be mindful, be aware, be conscious of your Lord, who has created you from a single soul, and from it its mate, and from both of them numerous men and women, and He spread them throughout the earth. And be mindful, be aware, be conscious of your Lord, from whom you ask and demand your rights. Indeed, Allah is ever a watcher over you. O you who have believed, be mindful, be aware, be conscious, have fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and say that which is truth. If you do this, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will rectify your affairs and forgive you of your sins. And whoever obeys Allah and His Messenger, indeed they have achieved the greatest achievement. As to what follows, brothers and sisters, indeed, without doubt, the most truthful book is the book of Allah. And the best way to practice the book of Allah is through the guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And the worst things are those things which are introduced into this guidance of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. For these things are a heresy, and every heresy is an estraying, and every estraying leads us to the hellfire. Alhamdulillah, brothers and sisters, this morning, as I went out, the weather required some heat and a sweater and things of that nature, umbrella, and I had to take a different path because of the rain. And subhanAllah, on my way here for Jummah, it's a different situation, a little bit better. Alhamdulillah, the sweater is off, the umbrella is away. Alhamdulillah. And this is why we're instructed. We have guidance from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam concerning these phenomena, the weather, the winds, the rain. As the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us to say when it rains, Allahumma sayyibin nafi'a. O Allah, make it a beneficial rain. And we are also taught during the time of strong winds that we should make another supplication. Allahumma inni as'aluka khayraha wa khayra ma fiha wa khayra ma ursilat bih wa a'udhu bika min sharriha wa sharri ma fiha wa sharri ma ursilat bih. We were taught at the times of strong winds that we should ask Allah to give us the goodness of it, the goodness that it contains, and the good that it has, and to protect us from its evil and the evil which it contains. So alhamdulillah, brothers and sisters, we are aware of Allah being Rabbul Alameen and having control over these different creation. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Tabarak, brothers and sisters, the chapter of dominion, He says, تَبَارَكَ الَّذِي بِيَدِهِ الْمُلْكُ وَهُوَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ قَدِيرٌ الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ أَيُّكُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا وَهُوَ الْعَزِيزُ الْغَفُورُ الَّذِي خَلَقَ سَبْعَ سَمَاوَاتٍ طِبَاقًا مَا تَرَى فِي خَلْقِ الرَّحْمَنِ مِنْ تَفَاوُتٍ فَارْجِعِ الْبَصَرَ هَلْ تَرَى مِنْ فُطُورٍ. Subhanallah. Allah tells us, brothers and sisters, in this great chapter of the Quran, chapter Surah Al-Mulk, or the chapter of the dominion, He says, blessed is he in whose hand is dominion, and he is over all things competent. He who created death and life to test you as to which of you is best indeed, and he is exalted in might and forgiving, or the forgiving, and who created seven heavens in labors. You do not see in the creation of Allah any inconsistency. So return your vision to the sky. Do you see any breaks? And subhanAllah, brothers and sisters, as I was going over the meaning of some of these verses, I came across an encouragement. Not so much just the understanding and the knowledge and the message that's associated with these tremendous verses, but also an encouragement to have a relationship with these verses and the idea of compensation and reward for reading this particular surah, Surah Al-Mulk. As the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he says, عن أبي هريرة رضي الله عنه إن سورة في القرآن 30 آية شفعت لصاحبها حتى غفر له. And that is collected by Imam Ahmad. And that's the chapter تبارك الذي بيده الملك. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he said that the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said that indeed there is a chapter in the Quran, 30 verses. 30 verses. He said it intercedes on behalf of its companion, and the word that's used is sahib. So sahib can mean companion, but it can also mean owner. It can also mean owner or possessor, until that person is forgiven. And that surah is blessed is he in whose hand is the dominion. And in another hadith connected by Anas, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Suratun fil Qur'ani khasamat an sahibiha hatta adkhalathu al-jannata tabaraka alladhi biyadihi al-mulk. And in this narration, he says that there is a surah in the Quran that it acts as a arguer. It's like in litigation for you. It argues on your behalf until, right? So there's the idea of it constantly doing that for you on your behalf, to the point that it causes you, or it allows you to enter Jannah because of this surah litigating on your behalf. And also, brothers and sisters, Imam At-Tirmidhi, he tells us, he gives us a little bit more of an idea of what type of relationship we should have with the surah. He said that there was a man, this is narrated to us by one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ, where he said that he was at a grave. He didn't know. He had some equipment, and he put the equipment down. And he realized that it was on top of a grave. And then he further came to know that that person whose grave it was, they used to recite Surah Al-Mulk. They used to recite it often until they finished it. Actually, the text says, يَقْرَأ كَانَ يَقْرَأُهَا حَتَّى يَخْتِمُهَا, until he finished it. And he went and he told the Prophet, this is what I did. He was a little, did I do something wrong concerning this person? Did I abuse them? Did I violate their right? Is there, what, did I do something? And the Prophet ﷺ, he just told them, he said that, no, he told them that the surah, that it will be for him a interceder in the grave. He said it is mani'a, munjiya, tanjihi min al-qabr. He said that this surah, it is a preventer and it is a rescuer. It rescues its companion from the punishment of the grave, brothers and sisters. So subhanAllah, that's what we can benefit from in terms of just having this relationship with the Quran. And we have another example of how the Prophet ﷺ used to be with the surah. And it says that كَانَ لَا يَنَامُ حَتَّى يَقْرَأَ أَلِفْ لَامْ مِيم تَنزِيلٌ وَتَبَارَكَ الَّذِي, that he would not go to sleep, that the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he would not go to sleep until he read Surah Al-Sajda and Surah Al-Mulk, Tabarak al-Ladhi biyadihi al-Mulk. And we have to give that some thought, brothers and sisters. As we see the Prophet ﷺ, he had long days and long evenings. This was a new community, a new group. And within that group, there were different challenges. And not everybody was Muslim. If we look at the Medinan phase, he was dealing with non-Muslim Jews, non-Muslim Christians, non-Muslim people from other traditions. He was dealing with people with single women that left behind kufr and shirk and came to be with him and be with the believers and their guardians. He had to deal with that. How do you deal with these single women that have these tribes behind them? He had to deal with homelessness. He had to deal with poverty. He had to deal with marital issues. Whatever you can imagine, the Prophet ﷺ, he experienced it. And how did he conclude? How did he conclude those long days and those long evenings? He wouldn't go to sleep, brothers and sisters, until he read the surah. He wouldn't lay down and rest until he read the surah. And we have to ask ourselves, brothers and sisters, at the end of our long days and our long nights, how do we ease our souls, our minds? How do we bring rest to ourselves? SubhanAllah. Also, brothers and sisters, there's other surahs that these examples, they give us an idea of the type of relationship we should have with the Quran, a methodology in how to be connected with the Book of Allah. As we all know, there's other surahs that the Prophet ﷺ encouraged us to be connected with. The three quls, right? These were things that he applied. He had a connection with them. He would recite them every morning, every evening. Today's Jummah. On Jummah, he would recite Surah Al-Kahf, Surah Al-Sajda, Surah Insan. On a weekly basis, every day we see he would recite Surah Tabarak. So brothers and sisters, he also gave us. And if we can't read the Quran, we can start there. As we know, the reward is doubled for the person who struggles in learning the reading of the Quran. So we can always start there. And these hadith doesn't necessarily say he read it in Arabic. He knows there's a connection. There's some type of relationship between you and these surahs. So this is the methodology as well that the Prophet ﷺ gave us in having a connection with the Quran. Sometimes we might approach it in a different light and just worry about how much I've memorized and how well is my tajweed and do I have the best voice and do I know the deep meanings of these verses? That's all wonderful. That's beautiful. Nothing, I'm not, alhamdulillah, right? But what's our consistent connection and devotion with the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And also we can involve our families. How long would it take to read Juz Sabah or just the surah? Some of us, alhamdulillah, we've memorized it a long time ago. Right? So a few minutes, if you're already versed in the Arabic, 10, 15 minutes to read Surah Tabarak. And that's kind of long. 10 minutes, 15 minutes to read it, to have that relationship with it. Instruct the children. Come here, young man, we're going to read. Young lady, me and you together. Don't just tell them, go do this, go do that. No. Come, me and you, we're going to take 10 minutes and we're going to read this surah. And then after, we'll go buy an icy or whatever the case might be. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bless us with our relationship with the Book of Allah and to guide us towards what's pleasing to Him. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين من كل ذنوب إنه هو الغفور الرحيم فاستغفروه. Brothers and sisters, can we please make space as much as possible if there's people still coming in? Please, for them, as best as you can, make room for your brothers and sisters. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. One of the scholars mentioned concerning Surah Al-Mulk, he said that it yufaddilani, and Surah Sajda too. Kulla suratin bisab'ina hasanatin. He said that these two surahs are better or more distinguished in merit than every surah by 70 merits. So brothers and sisters, let us do our best to approach these surahs and have a relationship with them. Because what are we going to lose if we invest? If you say to yourself, I'm going to take an hour, a half hour of the week, of the day, to invest in my relationship with the Book of Allah, what do you have to lose? Right? You know better than you know. Right? But that's literally all it takes for us to have that connection and that relationship. Because everything else, brothers and sisters, we know the reality. As we move through life, we know the material things, the emotional things, the physical things, even the spiritual things. They're like this wind. They're like this rain, like this weather, up, down, especially in this day and age, brothers and sisters. But one thing that caught my attention with these verses, as I was fortunate enough to be invited to come and speak to you all, and I was contemplating what to discuss. And one of the things that caught my attention was the word al-maut. الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ. He who created death and life. SubhanAllah, the killing that we are constantly experiencing. Maybe, of course, alhamdulillah, not but what we see. And that's what caught my attention. Right? This constant killing. Constant killing. And for some of our fellow citizens, who even the circumstances can change, brothers and sisters. For some of our fellow citizens who the systems that are supposed to protect them that are supposed to ensure that there's justice are not fulfilling those roles, to say the least, to put it nicely. A young man trying to do his duty, trying to do his civic duty, work with the justice system, and he was gunned down. SubhanAllah. And we ask Allah to make it easy for his family and his loved ones and all who he leaves behind. Ameen. And all because there was, to say it lightly, negligence, or just to the due diligence in convicting or finding someone who had committed a murder while the young man is in his own home, in his comfort of his own house. He's gunned down. SubhanAllah. And we ask Allah to make it easy for him and for his family and all those who he leaves behind. So brothers and sisters, in addition to that, we also see overseas the non-stop fighting and killing. This week a new conflict. The Turks against the Kurds, against these, against those, bombing, and who suffers? The innocent people, innocent civilians. They're the ones that are murdered, that are killed, brothers and sisters. And we know, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us clearly in the Quran, وَمَنْ يُقْتَدْ مُؤْمِنًا مُتَعَمِّدًا فَجَزَاؤُهُ جَهَنَّمَ خَالِدًا فِيهَا وَغَضِبَ اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَلَعَنَهُ وَعَدَّ اللَّهُ لَهُ عَذَابًا عَظِيمًا. Allah tells us whoever kills a believer intentionally, and this does not mean that, non-believers are free. No, of course not. This is not the discussion, right? But we all know that qatlun nafs, this is one of the major sins. Number 2, according to some of the ulama, shirk, qatlun nafs. So Allah says, and whoever kills a believer intentionally, his recompense is hell, to abide therein, and the wrath and curse of Allah are upon him, and a great punishment is prepared for him. And the Prophet ﷺ, he told us, a man will continue to be sound in his religion so long as he does not shed blood, which is forbidden to shed. SubhanAllah. Right? But how? How is it that these believers, these Muslims, that hear the adhan 5 times a day, masjids everywhere, Islam in the schools, right? But this is the reality of the relationship between them. Why? Because if the Imam says you should smile at your brother, follow the sunnah, smile at him, give him salams, shake his hand, welcome him, practice those things, give a gift. When's the last time one of us gave a gift to a fellow brother? Fi sabilillah. When? No strings attached. Gave a gift to a sister. But no, we quick to talk about, and that we have no problem. To shed their honor, no problem. And sometimes even to shed their blood, alhamdulillah. But giving a gift, smiling, giving salams, returning salams, giving salams to someone you don't know, you can't do it. And you mock the people that say you should be doing these things. And we wonder how we get to the level that we get to, where we can just disregard our fellow Muslim brothers and sisters. And we expect honor from others. So brothers and sisters, let us be of those who choose to do ahsan wa amala. That's what Allah said He created us for. He made life and death to do what? لِيَبْلُوَكُمْ. So you can choose to test you as to which of you is best in doing good. Do good, brothers and sisters, even if no one's watching. Do good. Remember Allah. Read the Quran. Choose to have this relationship with Surah Al-Mulk. Don't ignore it. Don't neglect it. Oh no, that's not, I did this, I did that, I'm not a good Muslim. No, you heard the hadith, do your best. As the hadith tells us, until it will intercede for you. It's not just one time. It will keep doing it and doing it and doing it until you're forgiven. It will argue on your behalf over and over and over until you enter Jannah. SubhanAllah. So brothers and sisters, let us choose to do these things. Choose to learn the Quran and see and practice it. Even if no one else is practicing with you. Even if no one else is practicing with you, brothers and sisters. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to guide us to what is most pleasing to Him. We ask Him to forgive